Hi guys, Oma Chang, or I don't know how to say right now. I'm in South America. I'm not going to tell you where I am because just in case there's some nasty people out there trying to attack me, I don't. Please just off the video or think about what I'm saying before you're saying something, okay? Please. Um, I know a lot of stuff is going on in Sri Lanka, and some of my friends said, Agatha, why don't you make a video? Because I don't want any more arguments, I don't want any more fights, and I don't want to be attacked for just speaking my truth. But things are changing. So it has been 2 years that I haven't been to Sri Lanka, exactly 2 years. And why is that? I was living in Sri Lanka. Yes, I'm half German, half Sri Lankan. My mom is Sri Lankan, very much, okay? And yes, she's Sinhalese, and yes, she's a Buddhist. My dad is a Catholic, and he's German, born in Czechoslovakia. So that means I'm a child of the entire world. I'm not a child of one country, and we are the future because we connect and unite the world, and that's the future. The country doesn't belong to anyone. Earth doesn't belong to anyone. And the craziest part is that Sri Lanka has so much debt right now that they're trying to sell it to the country who pays for it, or to get rid of the debt. But Sri Lanka is so rich in nature, so rich in crystalline, blue sapphires, yellow sapphires, rubies. Yet Sri Lanka is a country which is the old Lemurian ancestors, which the Tamil people know about. Sri Lanka can't be paid with money. Sri Lanka is so full of value. I always said to the tourist board in Sri Lanka, I know some politicians, and I told them, I said, you can market Sri Lanka as the first organic island in the country. And I was trying like 5 years ago to bring products, technology to Sri Lanka to save petrol. One was fuel saver. The government people rejected it. We tried very hard, and they said, no, we have something else for the buses and ships and whatsoever. And I said, if you use this fuel saver, it's technology from Austria. You can save petrol. You save the environment. And there were another products which you don't need much water, because if you use a certain metal stick, it's programmed, it works with quantum physics. And I know the young generation out there in Sri Lanka knows what I'm talking about. So if you put that stick next to a banana tree or whatsoever, or certain areas, I know I think in Elle, there's some areas which are very dry, and then they catch fire, and then the bushes burn down. So, and they were also talking about the banana trees and leaves, that there's not much enough water. So I said, there's technology out there which you can use. There's even free technology which you can use in Sri Lanka, and it would be like the first eco-friendly island in the whole entire world. Just imagine that. Eco-friendly villages, no matter what culture, no matter what religion you are. And I was thinking, wow, that would be so amazing. Sri Lanka is the pearl in the Indian Ocean, or I call it, it's like the gem in the ocean. It's just a jewelry. So I remember when people were voting for Rajapaksa, I'm saying that name, I always call Raksha dude. I said, you know what? I don't get it. Why do you guys vote for him? He spent a lot of money just for the, not promotion, the campaign. Just running the campaign, I don't know how many millions he was spending. And there's one thing in Sri Lankan culture, and I really want to talk about it, and I don't care what you say now, because I'm half Sri Lankan, so I can say something, right? Because there is something about it, right? So people vote for someone who shows off. This is like something very typical, that Sri Lankan love power and people who can talk. So he can talk, but where's the action? Where's the heart? The government is ruled by only men. Where are the women? No, it's not about women need to be supreme and need to be the best and need to be the leaders. It needs to be about a balance. A country cannot run if one sex is stronger than the other. There should be some balance, right? What happened? We used to have a lot of priestesses in the old Lemurian time, which is in the Tamil knowledge Kumaria kingdom. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Do you remember when the Tamils and the Sinhalese had a war? So much happened against the Tamil people, but you know what? Have you noticed that always when there's a war, people create a war because to sell the weapons, to create fear within the country, so that one person wins and some other person dies and whatsoever? But have you noticed, and please think about what I'm saying, there's so many Tamils in Colombo, and the Sinhalese are, like even Sinhalese people have some ancestors which are Tamil. The Tamil culture has a lot of knowledge, a lot. And when they speak the language, oh my God, my heart, I feel like crying because it touches my soul. I have a great connection to India, even though I'm not born in India. I don't have any Indian ancestors, but I'm sure I had a past life in India. If you're Buddhist, if you're Catholic, if you're Tamil, no matter what religion is or what you have, we always had something called reincarnation. So if you're in this life a white person, you can be a black person in another lifetime. If you're in this lifetime a Chinese and you hate the Indian people, maybe 3 lives ago, or your ancestors has been an Indian. Guys, please, the world is much more than that. So all I want to say is, I noticed that people were voting for him, even though they had the issues about kidnapping the journalists and people were living in fear. I remember the first time when he won after the war and I came to Sri Lanka. Oh my God, the country was like, there was this silence, people didn't talk much, and there were not many clubs open, and there were only guys and no girls out because the girls were scared to go out and the families would say, you cannot go out, you're a girl. What happened? I remember my mom being in 1960 or whatever, all the girls in the village in the most short skirts and dresses and people in bikinis. What happened to Sri Lanka? I spoke to a beautiful friend of mine and she said, you know, Agatha, in Germany right now, we are free to go around as a woman. But there was a time in Sri Lanka, women were able to walk around and feel safe. What happened to all the stories when women and tourists, especially tourists, foreign women, got raped and the government covered it up? This is not happening. Seriously, I'm traveling a lot, okay? And I'm telling again from the bottom of my heart, sleep overnight, listening to what I'm saying, and then if I'm lying, you can tell me, but I know this is the truth because the whole country knows about it. I travel all over the world by myself, but I don't travel alone in Sri Lanka. I only go with my male friends because I don't feel safe. Even tuk-tuk guys just get nude in front of children. It's not okay. There are huge Facebook groups for Sri Lankan communities, and women post what tuk-tuk guys do. How come the government never did something about that? It's important to protect women. Do you know why? Because a woman gives child to a birth, and even a boy comes from a mother, right? You say Ama Lanka Ave. So it's like Mother Lanka, right? So the mother is something. And the government, the dudes, they're working with the lotus. But what is the lotus? It's Lakshmi power, it's the earth, it's the goddess energy. So where's the goddess? And when I was saying, why are you voting for them? People got really angry at me and attacked me. I remember one, now he's not a friend anymore. He would message me and like spam me, and he would attack me and like seriously would write really nasty things why I should vote for them. And I said, you know what? I have friends who work for them. I don't care because I love people, but I don't support the government. And now finally, which is so amazing, you all united, men and women, peacefully, because usually we had those riots. Do you remember when we had the Eastern attack? It was, please, if you tell me that was ISIS, it was not. It was something made within the country, Like the same thing with what they did with the Tamil to get this hate towards Tamil people. They did the same to get the hate towards the Muslim. The Muslim, I have a lot of beautiful Muslim friends in Sri Lanka, and they did a lot for the country. So everyone did a lot for the country, no matter what culture, no matter what religion. And can we just be honest with each other and just really agree on it? What you're doing right now is the most amazing century event of the whole entire universe. That Sri Lanka, the old Lemurian kingdom, which used to be really highly spiritual, full of balance and love and protection of animals and nature, and having the most amazing plants, that you guys are waking up, and I call you star seeds, because it's about peace, it's about union, it's about community, it's about protecting nature. And yes, it's the Generation X, which everything is possible. So please, what I'm saying right now is, why did you vote for them? What's really important to you? Sri Lanka cannot be sold and should never be sold, because it's a unique country. And do you know that when we had the tsunami was also something which was created. Do you remember the year? Something is called HARP, when they have bombs in the ocean, and when they explode, they create tsunamis. And Thailand, India, like Tamil Nadu side, Chennai, Kanyakumari, Sri Lanka was affected, Indonesia was affected. But all the tourism went to Dubai, which just opened up, and they just finished all their buildings. Isn't that weird? All the money which people were sending somehow ended up in Dubai. There was this something. Then the NGOs came to Sri Lanka. Because of them, a lot of rental prices went up the roof. If you had 10,000 Sri Lankan rupees, you had a lot of money, which was holding for like many months. And now 10,000 rupees a week is like nothing. So Sri Lanka became very expensive. Yes, of course, in a way, the government said, oh, we want to push the clientele of getting high quality tourism, because they had a lot of child trafficking and lots of sex tourism, which of course they came from Germany, Austria, Switzerland. I'm not declining that. I know what happened. I know that many children were free for adoption and they got adopted, and some children ended up in really bad families. But it's so important to speak about it and not to hide it anymore. Speak the truth. Think about it. And yes, now it's time that you take your power back, because you're the country, you're the people. But please always remember, everything which comes from the mouth has to agree and be in alignment with what people do. It's the action. And the problem is with the people are ruling right now, they have a lot of ego. They don't like to be wrong. And now I always say karma's a bitch. Things go around, and the earth frequency is rising so high that all the lies come out, and that people get back what they did. Not because they're bad, not because they're good or whatsoever. It's just from an action comes a reaction. And I always say no one is really bad. It's the upbringing. If you have a child and your child doesn't get a lot of love and affection, and you put it up in a boarding school really early age, and the only family they have is actually their classmates, let's say, because in Sri Lanka it's like females and males are divided. This is another thing which creates a lot of sexual trauma. I have never met a country which has so many issues about incest. And trust me, people are reaching out to me, writing me emails, writing me letters. Of course I don't publish them. I have no other country more than Sri Lanka. Yes, India too, but Sri Lanka is more. How much incest is going on, and people cannot go to the police because the police either doesn't know or they don't get supported. So there's a lot of stuff which can be done. There are chipped SIM cards in India which you can use to be tracked, so you can go by night, and if there's something, you can press the button and the police comes immediately. Why don't they implement that in Sri Lanka? I was trying to do that as well before I left. I could come back to Sri Lanka because you guys shut down the airport, which happened for me, was the best thing in my entire life. But something which is very nasty and I really want to say is, why do you tell him to go home? He's born in Sri Lanka, right? He was living in the USA. And my question is, why don't you say he needs to be responsible for whatever he did? But by birth he is Sri Lankan, and why should he go home? I don't get it, sorry. And it's the same nasty thing that some of the people I know tell me. It's like, oh, if I have money and then I'm positive to you, oh, it's our Sri Lanka. But if I say something you don't like, it's like your Sri Lanka, it's your country. Why is it your country? Why is it your Sri Lanka? Do you know about your ancestors? I have the same rights. And something which really pisses me off is, we half-breeds, there's so many of us. Why don't we get a permanent residence visa like the Indian people do? Even if my fifth generation would be an Indian, I can get an NRI. Why don't I have the chance to be how do you say, a benefit to Sri Lanka? Do you know how many half-breeds, yes, I'm saying half-breeds, you say that for animals, but I'm saying that mixed children from Sri Lanka, if they get a residence visa, we would come and buy land and we would invest, we would bring new technology, we would help you guys so much in any way we could, because we love Sri Lanka. Why? Because our roots are there as well. So why don't you make this an advantage to get rid of the debt you have in Sri Lanka? This is my first really open public video. I have made a smaller one on Eastern attack, but this is like a bigger one, and please be kind and gentle to me. And you can always ask me a question. If you try to be nasty, I will block you. Because there's a reason why I'm half. I'm half German, half Sri Lankan. And once I remember, I always went to Asia because I always felt more home there, because I have a connection. And when I went to Germany, I always felt out of place. And then one of my friends said, Agatha, why don't you bring the knowledge and the wisdom from Asia to Germany? And when I started doing that, things changed in my life. So I want to do the same way, having this European mentality in a good, healthy way, to bring it to Sri Lanka. And I'm not alone. There's so many of us. And you cannot tell us anymore that this country doesn't belong to us. It belongs to everyone. Sri Lanka will be the first island in the history being united, taking the power back with love. Okay? So love rules the world and love changes the world. And we are in 2022, the time of Aquarius, and trust me, the old Lemuria will wake up, rise and come back. It's time to wake up, and you do. And I love you guys very much. And it's all about respect, it's all about love, and it's all about speaking the love and the truth from your heart. Bye. Please share this video. And oh, I made also some videos about abuse of porn and all, and people always reached out and would ask me, because they were so afraid to post it public. Yes, porn is not healthy. It's a codependencies, and I know that so many Sri Lankan people have an alcohol addiction, a drug addiction, because Sri Lanka is full of trauma. But it's time to heal. It's time not to beat up your children and not to beat your wife or beat whoever. Don't do that anymore. You can speak peacefully, and you can speak your mind and ask the questions you need to know, because wisdom is power, and you cannot rule a country with fear. And that is what happened in the past. It was run by fear. Power is if you rule a country with wisdom, knowledge, and empowerment. To empower the people in your country, not to buy them rice, but to teach them how to plant rice. So please, people, share that knowledge. A government needs to empower their own people, invest into money, so that the farmers can create their own plants and fruits, and even their own people. That's what people need to teach in the villages. Not that they can go and beg and ask for money so that someone has a favor for another one. No. No. Because when you create codependencies, this is when you create power over another being, and this is like total old paradigm and old energy. So please, if you vote for anyone in the future, make sure it can be even a person, a local person who has knowledge and wisdom, as they used to do in Lemuria and in Atlantis, when people use and choose the wise people, and it's men and women, and it can be a group of people. Do you remember when they had all this crazy kindergarten stuff going on in the parliament, throwing chili and hitting each other, breaking the mic? It was an embarrassment for the whole entire world. It was really embarrassing that men act out like children. It's the truth. I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just speaking it out loud. That's all. If you disagree, then you can tell me why you disagree. But I think it's time for a change. So choose wisely whom you vote for, and you can always choose the person you want, not because of money, not because of power, not because of talks, but because they have the right mindset and they're really caring for the people in Sri Lanka. I love you guys very much. Greetings from South America.